So if you've watched my past couple of videos, you know that I went to New York last week and I promised you guys a New York vlog, so here I am delivering. I wrote everything down in my journal, so if you see me looking down here, it's because I'm trying to remember everything that I did. Starting with my flight, I landed Wednesday, September 15th. And can we just talk about this flight for a second? To start, my flight was delayed an hour because of bad weather. Okay, cool, New York, bad weather, makes sense. I was sitting window seat because I wanted to see the whole skyline when I landed. I was minding my own business, watching my videos, reading my book, whatever, and then I started to see like white flashes out of the corner of my eye. First thought was that it was just a plane had some white light that was flashing, but then I looked closer and the white light was illuminating the clouds in the distance, and that's when I realized it was actually thunder and lightning, which was crazy. When you're in the air and seeing lightning, it's happening every 2 seconds. So it was like a bright white light flashing every 2 seconds off in the distance, illuminating the clouds. From when I first noticed those lights, over the course of the next 30 minutes, the light just kept getting stronger and just like more bright and closer. But then the captain comes on and he's like, "Flight attendants, take your seats." And that's when you know that something's about to go down. The seatbelt signs went off and we were kind of close to landing at this point too. And usually they'll do like a billion checks like back and forth to make sure everyone has their seatbelt on and like seats up and everything. But they didn't do any of that. They just told us to do it on our own, and the captain was like, "Everyone take your seat immediately." At this point the lightning was like right there and I kind of knew what was about to happen, so it wasn't a huge shock when we started experiencing some very bad turbulence. We were definitely free falling for a couple seconds. People were screaming. All you could see from the airplane windows was bright white and yellow flashes. Usually I'm very afraid of turbulence, but I feel like in this situation I wasn't because I could clearly see what was causing the turbulence. Anyway, that's enough about the flight. I landed. I met my cousins. I was staying with my cousins in Jersey. They're like a quick ferry ride away from the city, so it was perfect. They picked me up from the airport. I got back to their apartment, ate some dinner, and then I went to sleep. The next morning, I had sunrise yoga at the Edge. The Edge is a new thing in New York. It's in Hudson Yards. Basically just this like ledge that sticks out from a building that's really high up, and the view of New York City from there is absolutely insane. So I took an Uber at about like 5:45 a.m. Sunrise yoga was at 6:30 a.m. and then we got there, we did the yoga. It was incredible. Some of the most intense yoga I've ever done. Like I couldn't even do some of it because my arms were just so tired. We did the yoga for 45 minutes and then for the last 15 minutes the instructor let us just like take pictures. This was the first time I was seeing New York in the daylight. It was just an absolutely incredible experience and I'm really glad I went. Okay, I'm talking way too much. I need to speed this up. But after that I just kind of explored the Hudson Yards area. I saw the vessel, and at this point I was also very hungry for some breakfast, so I found this coffee place called Think Coffee. It was advertised as the best cold brew in New York, so obviously I had to try it out. So I went there, grabbed a coffee, and then I wanted a bagel, so searched up like a bagel place nearby. There was a bagel place called Brooklyn's Bagels, I think it was, and that was like about a 15-ish minute walk. So I went there, grabbed a bagel, and then went back to Hudson Yards and ate on the little Hudson Yards Highline. Found a nice bench that had a nice view and just had the most amazing, perfect morning. Also I was by myself, so I was like doing some solo traveling, walking around. Got back to my cousin's apartment at about 9:30 a.m. and I napped until 2 p.m. because obviously the night before I did not get much sleep. Woke up, I went back to the city. I explored the 9/11 memorial area. I saw the fountains, went to Blue Bottle to grab some coffee, explored the Brookfield Mall area. Honestly, my favorite part of New York was just walking around and exploring the city by myself. Yeah, did some walking around and then I took a ferry back to Jersey City. After that, I got ready for dinner. So I have some more family that also lives in Jersey, so we all kind of went out for dinner together. We went to this really yummy taco place. I have no idea what it's called. It was delicious, and then after dinner we drove to one of like the parks in Jersey. I think that was kind of next to the water, and you could see the Statue of Liberty from the back really well. Even while planning New York, I knew I didn't really want to see Statue of Liberty close up. Like, it's just not something I'm interested in doing. I'd rather walk the streets of New York and explore something else. So it was kind of cool to just like see the back of the Statue of Liberty and kind of just check that off. Next day, September 17th, I had a bagel for breakfast, and then I headed out back to the city by myself. I went to this amazing crystal shop. It was called like Rockstar Crystals or something. This was my first time in a crystal shop all by myself, so there was no one rushing me. It was a giant crystal shop. So much to choose from, so I was having the time of my life here. The first one is this obsidian, next one is opalite, and the last one is this one. It's called goldstone and it's man-made. So yeah, those are the 3 crystals I got from the crystal shop. After the crystal shop, I went to lunch with my friend Aniket. He works near 5th Avenue. We grabbed pizza for lunch at this place called Pizzarte. Delicious. Very glad I got to eat pizza in New York. After lunch, I explored 5th Avenue by myself, kind of walked through it, and then saw Patrick's Cathedral, which was very, very pretty, and I just subwayed home. For dinner that night, I went with my cousins to this place called Planta Queen. It was vegan Asian food, so they had sushi, noodles, dumplings, gyozas, all that stuff. It was so good. I had the best cocktail I've had in my life there. It was like this lychee gin cocktail. After dinner, we went to Comedy Cellar and saw a comedy show. She brought out like someone from Orange is the New Black and a lot of people from like Comedy Central. Next day, September 18th, I spent this whole day with my cousin. We started with grabbing brunch at Hotel Chantelle. I had an Impossible Burger. It was really, really good. After that, we grabbed dessert. I'm not sure what the name of the dessert place was, but it was space themed. I don't know if that helps. We went over to Central Park and we had a picnic. So we ate the dessert and we played some Monopoly Deal. Central Park is way, way bigger than I thought it would ever be. There for a little bit, and then after that, we went to the Press Lounge to see the skyline during sunset, and that was so pretty. We chose like the perfect spot because you could see the sunset in Jersey City on one side and then just like the entire New York skyline on the other side. After that, we just grabbed some ramen for dinner. And that brings us to my last full day in New York, which I spent the whole day with Arsh. So starting with the morning, I just took the train to where Arsh was staying. We went to Mom's Kitchen and Bar for breakfast. Some really interesting items on their menu. I got Jim Bod breakfast, which had toast and avocado and eggs, and Arsh got the Fruity Pebbles pancake. Their drinks were super interesting as well. So while waiting for brunch, the wait was about like 35-ish minutes, and Times Square was nearby, so we just kind of walked over to Times Square. Since Broadway is back this weekend, they were having live performances in the middle of Times Square. So like some people from the Lion King show were singing and performing, and it was really awesome. We went to the Disney store as well. After brunch, we went to a like museum which had a bunch of cool lights and stuff. And then after that, we went to Cha Cha Matcha. Arsh and I are both big matcha fans, and Cha Cha Matcha is only in New York and LA, so we definitely wanted to go here. I had an iced matcha latte with macadamia milk sweetened with agave. It was amazing. After that, we went to the Cauldron. The Cauldron is very interesting. You make 2 drinks, but it's kind of themed around like potions, so they'll give you a wand and be like, oh, tap here, and then like things will change colors, and they'll like pour something in your drink to make it like fizz and bubble. Very cool. I didn't like the first drink too much because it had ginger in it, and I hate ginger. And the second drink we made, it was very, very sour. Like, I don't know if they just gave us too much lemon juice or something, but it was extremely sour. Drinks weren't amazing, but I'd say the experience was a 10 out of 10 for sure. After that, we had dinner with Arsh's brother as well. So dinner was on top of the Restoration Hardware store. So the Restoration Hardware store was 4 levels, and then on the 5th level was the restaurant and like a terrace rooftop type thing where you could see the New York skyline. It was just like very fancy, and vibes were amazing. That was supposed to be the end of our night, but Arsh and I wanted to attend a comedy show. We went to Comedy Cellar, but it was like a smaller location, and Arsh and I sat front row, which if you've been to a comedy show in New York, you know how much you get roasted when you're in the front row. So it was really, really awesome. Like, the experience was completely different than when I went to Comedy Cellar like 2 days prior, because this time it was like much more intimate. It was only like 50-ish people, I want to say, and we were sitting front row, so we were getting all the attention. The host ended up buying me a drink. The next day, September 20th, I just packed up my things and headed to the airport and flew back, unfortunately. That was my entire New York trip. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for sitting through this weird lighting. As you guys know, New York has been on my vision board for so long, and I'm so glad I finally got to go. It was everything I thought it'd be and more. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one.